LeGrand Gravel Stage Race Recap. This gravel stage race is a 2-day stage race that takes place in Emporia, Kansas, more commonly known for Unbound gravel race that happens at the end of May, beginning of June each year. But this stage race is a 2-day stage race consisting of one stage that's 100 miles and the second stage that's 65 miles in Emporia, Kansas, on the road south of Emporia. A lot of the roads on this course on both day 1 and day 2 are used on the southbound Unbound course, but that is different from the course that we raced on last year at Unbound, which was the North course, and the race that will be held this year as well, which is also the North course. I came into this gravel stage race in Emporia with several main goals in mind. One is to test the entire setup for Unbound on roads that are going to be about as close as possible to the roads I'll be racing on. Bike-wise, coming into this race, I ran the exact setup I am planning to run for Unbound, which is the State Carbon All-Road V2, 2.2 Continental Race Kings on wheels built on Onyx Vesper hubs, bird spokes, and FSA rims that measure in at a 29 internal rim width. Mountain bike tires have proven to be the fastest gravel tire out there, and especially on the chunk of the Emporia gravel roads, this definitely proved to be the case as well. Gearing wise, I ran a 48 tooth chainring with the SRAM Explorer 10 to 46 tooth cassette. And I also ran the same camera setup I am planning to run for Unbound to capture a full length race POV video with camera on the front, and then potentially my little camera hack in the Moose Pack's top tube bag on top. Nutrition wise, I was planning to consume a minimum of 120 grams of carb per hour between a mix of Flow Formula's drink mix in the bottles and hydration pack on day 1 and just in the bottles on day 2, as well as the Flow Formula's endurance gel mix in the gel flasks as well. I did experiment a little bit with the gels at this race and added a little bit of the Flow Formula's electrolyte powder to the gel mix, and that really seemed to do the trick for adding a little bit of flavor to the unflavored gel mix, as well as adding in a little additional electrolyte to keep everything going smoothly. Beyond the ultimate goal of testing my Unbound setup under race conditions on the roads that we will be pretty much racing on at the end of the month, I did also want to attend a race where it would be possible to compete for a podium and potentially the win. Build a little bit of confidence, build a little bit of fitness, and really test where the body is at, both fitness-wise, mentally, and all things said and considered going into the biggest race on the calendar in a few weeks' time. So, day 1, 100 miles, windy, and I was still coming off of a lackluster result the week previous at the Highlands Gravel Classic, recap linked here. And I wasn't sure of where I was going to be totally at fitness-wise, just given the rides I had in the week previous and where everything was at. So I came into the start of the day a little hesitant and really didn't want to really start pressing my luck until a little bit later on in the day. But ultimate goal for this was to win and to win solo. I wanted to really give myself a hard effort that is going to be replicative of how we will be racing at Unbound. So my main goal was going as hard as possible for as long as possible to really test that long form fitness. This course starts, we do a little bit of a figure 8 loop wise, and on the first outbound section that got a little bit hilly, I put a little bit of an effort in here. I think average power for this hilly section was a little over 300 watts for 10 to 15 minutes, and I was able to separate the field and get this lead group down to about 10 to 12 riders. A little bit further on, we take a left-hand turn and I step on the gas again, do another 300 and something watts for another 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm able to break this lead group up down to 2 riders, myself and another rider named Micah. We looked back and had a little bit of a gap on the remainder of the elite field at that point, and we just decided to keep rolling it. We rotated pretty well. I was feeling very strong, and for the next hour or so, we were, all things said and considered, we were just riding away. About an hour and a half, hour 45 into the race, I turn around after being on the front for a little bit and notice that Micah is not on my wheel anymore and nowhere to be seen. I do find out after the race that he did actually flat in this section, but I didn't know what happened. I didn't hear him say anything, so I just assumed he got dropped, and at this point I was just going to be pedaling into the finish on my own. The next 3-ish hours of racing were primarily into a head and crosswind, so I did not want to overexert myself at the beginning in order to maintain enough in the tank in the event I did get caught to have a final effort in the finish. Next 2 hours of me riding solo, primarily into the headwind, average about 270 watts. And at this point, I see no one on the road behind me for as long as I can see. And on a lot of these long straight sections, you can see 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes back further on the road. I am seeing nothing. So this last hour, in order to conserve a little bit of energy for the next day, I do back it off a little bit. I think it's like a 240 watt average for the last hour into the finish, and I do come across the line solo in first place. After sitting at the finish for a little bit, making a few phone calls, talking with a couple people, I see the next person to come across the line, Micah, nearly 20 minutes back on the day. At this point, after day one, with a 20-minute lead on second place, I am pretty confident that the GC is all but locked up, but I am still a little hesitant going into day two, just knowing how treacherous the roads in Emporia can be, because obviously you have to finish the race to win the overall. Day two, my main goal here is to win, and to win solo again, but I want to go as hard as possible and empty everything I have in the tank to get a really proper training day in for Unbound. The lead group stays together for the first hour and a bit of the race, and we have a much larger lead group on a faster day two with a lot less minimum maintenance road and technical sectors. A little bit before the halfway point on day two, we go through the town of Madison, which is famously known in this race for having a steep 30 to 40 second climb on pavement, leading into the final 2-ish hours of racing that are primarily going to be with a tailwind and cross tailwind on this day. Going up this brick climb, I give this a good hard whack and really make some separation here. Average power for this effort here was a little over 500 watts for a little under 2 minutes, and I look back well over the top before the next right-hand turn and see that I have some daylight. At this point, I have the sole goal of riding solo into the finish as hard as possible to really get ready for my ultimate goal at Unbound, and I have my head down and just trucking along. Thankfully on the state setup, it is easy to get into the arrowheads position and be comfortable and still pushing power. So for the next hour and 45 minutes, I end up averaging a little over 300 watts solo. I come across the line again on day two in first place, and with no one in sight, firmly locking up the GC win. I end up winning by about 10 minutes on day two to the next group on the road, and I am pretty happy with where the fitness is at, seeing that I was able to push this amount of power on day two of racing in the last nearly 2 hours of racing all on my own. Really stoked with this. Like, this is like winning a race is the best feeling in bike racing, and winning solo puts a cherry on top of that. So it is cool to come across the line with no one in sight and hand in the air. All that being said, I cannot say enough good things about the LaGrind gravel stage race as a whole. 2 fantastic days of racing. Thankfully we lucked out with the weather, Saturday just being a little windy, but temperatures were perfect, roads are fast, there's a little bit of technicality and obviously the Emporia gravel chunk that you have to deal with, but everyone associated with the race, promoters, volunteers, the bike shop this was started and finished in front of, everyone was super excited to be there for a bike race and see people out riding their bikes, whether they were competing to win or competing just to finish. Really can't say enough good things about this. I will 100% be back and highly recommend this for anyone interested in trying out any of the gravel roads around Emporia and being in Emporia outside of the major Unbound event. 2 thumbs up for LaGrind. I will definitely be back. Thanks for watching. See y'all at Unbound. Peace.